Seek Sustainable Japan, our monthly series, Short Takes. I'm JJWalsh here in Hiroshima, joined by...
Hi, I'm Tove Kinooka in Yokohama.
It's great to meet up. First Short Takes of the year, Tova.
Yes.
How you starting Year of the Snake so far?
It feels like it's on fast forward. It's a very fast snake.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's I read something about Year of the Snake is a great chance to declutter because
Ah,
a snake sheds its skin.
right.
So leave the past behind, embrace the new. And so I'm like, this is the year to declutter those closets, declutter that shed. So I'm on the case.
Oh, cool. Well, I didn't know that, but I started with a massive decluttering of my office, which is now a lot more organized. So there you go. Maybe that was
Very
the
good.
inspiration.
Good.
Hmm.
And I had old broken appliances, and I went to the appliance store. I paid for the recycling charge to get it. You know, these are things you just like have in your shed or backspaces, and you put it off and off, right?
Yeah, yeah, very much.
Now you've got an exciting trip coming up. You want to talk about the REI trip you're doing?
Yes. So REI, Refugee Empowerment International, is a NPO that supports fundraisers sort of based here in Japan, fundraisers for projects. And we've got currently 5 projects around the world that we're supporting. 3 of those, as you can see here, are on the Thai-Myanmar border. So there's sort of a drug and addiction recovery program, but using very much sort of local approaches to that, which are really successful. Maternal health awareness and baby kit projects, and they actually take the baby kits in over the border and get them to the people who need them there. And then there's one more on educating on rights, including environmental rights and issues for the people there in the camp. So these are all refugee-led projects supported by REI. And so we'll be a group of us going to visit the projects, to look at progress there, speak to people about what they're doing, what more they need in terms of support. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing that.
That would be great to see in person. And you've
Yeah,
talked about, of course, REI before, getting empowerment back
very much.
into the equation. So
Yeah,
educating, empowering, supporting what they're already doing,
yeah,
and providing funding that way instead of taking over the projects,
yeah.
doing it from the outside, right?
Yeah, very much. So the proposals that for the projects come from the refugees themselves. They're like, this is what we want to do. Here's what we need to do it. They have to be very specific and detailed in order to get the funding. But then they lead and run the project. So yeah, that's really great to see.
That's so great. I started off the year talking to a longtime favorite author, Japanologist, Alex Kerr. It was fantastic to have him on the show as the first Seek Sustainable Japan of the year. He was talking this time about his project in Thailand
Ooh.
to make a thatch roof house, like a
Mhm.
traditional thatch roof, but Thai style. And it
Yeah.
was really interesting to see the
Wow.
similarities to his house in Ia Valley, which we can see here, Chiodi, which he built
Mm.
in the 70s. That was his first house. He's taken more than 50 old houses around Japan and done these projects where he changes the old houses into guest houses. And
Mhm.
that brings new residents as well as visitors who want to stay longer and really support the local economy
Mm.
and meet local people, have more meaningful travel. And
Yeah.
so he's always got such great insights. And that was also really nice to hear about the Thai house.
Yeah.
And
That's
it
beautiful.
reminded me like of Hawaiian
Mm.
houses because it's kind of like a straw hut,
Mm.
grasses style of roof. It was really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's beautiful. Really wonderful to look at.
And you
Oh
can
wow.
see them doing the
Yeah.
straw here. And then he was saying most people know about the traditional thatch style in Thailand, but not in this way, not to
Mm.
make like an elegant or
Right.
refined style. And that
Mm.
really plays into his idea of bringing old houses, the old traditional Minka houses, which have the reputation of being dark and dirty and not fun, and elevating it and adding
Mm.
insulation and making it relevant and comfortable. And so it was a really interesting parallel there.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really important to kind of make it accessible, appealing, right, to the next generation so that these things do continue and they're not lost.
Absolutely. And
Mm.
what he found is when they invested in beautiful windows that are insulated, nice modern Western toilets, all the comforts of a modern guest house, but the beautiful traditional
Mm.
aesthetic, then it was very popular with Japanese travelers as well. And
Yeah.
their aim was inbound, but it was really popular with Japanese people who also love the aesthetic but don't want the inconvenience, right? So
Mm.
it's a
Yeah.
win-win.
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
Now you had a update about Carol Funk?
Fuchs, yeah. So Carol, we've spoken about a few times before, is doing this climate run. So I think it's 1,500, 1,600 kilometers, the highest trail run in the world. And she did a recce run a couple of months ago, and she's created a kind of mini teaser documentary on that. So she sent it to a few of us to kind of get some input, first of all. And it was incredible. She did interviews with a lot of locals along the way, living in these super high villages and communities in the Himalayas. And she was talking to them about the changes they've seen in their lifetimes in terms of the snow, the ice melt, the glaciers, and so on, and the impact those changes were having on their communities. So they looked at things like, landslides and flooding getting more common and causing absolute havoc, changing sort of routes that they would use. They can't, things are no longer passable, but also lack of snowfall being a big issue in that, they rely on the snows and then the melts for the water, for crops and so on. And those snows are not coming. And that's really beginning to make itself felt now, first of all there, but this is going to have trickle on effects way down through the rivers that those snow melts would feed, and the lower lying areas in the region where people are growing crops and things that we rely on for food and clothing and these kind of things. So she's sort of highlighting some of those things in this teaser bit, and there'll be a lot more in the documentary. So now she's working with a local young Nepalese documentary maker to sort of create the script for the main documentary, and looking for funding and stuff to take that forward. But she's got some already from the Sasakawa Peace Foundation, so it's great to see that organizations like that are seeing value in what she's doing. So watch this space, and if you want any more info, please reach out to Carol. It's an amazing project.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so important. And I was listening to a great podcast the other day, Rewilding the World, and he was talking with people in North America who have been working for many years on taking away the dams that were not generating electricity anymore. They were just there because it was an old infrastructure project, and this was a really long time. But once they took it all away, almost immediately they started seeing salmon
Yeah.
going back up the rivers, and like the idea of taking away things that we thought would improve our lives
Mhm.
or more modern development, and actually working with indigenous communities and bringing it back to its natural state. And nature is so much smarter than us
Yes.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
better and resilient, and if we just get out of the way,
Mm.
can make such a huge difference, and nature is ready to recover.
Yeah.
And that was just so inspiring, and I'm sure Carol saw
Yeah.
lots of situations like that where if we
Yeah.
just get out of the way, let nature come back, it
Exactly.
really could
Yeah.
regenerate, right?
Very much nature, and also, like you say, the indigenous communities that know how to live and exist in harmony with these natural ecosystems, right? I think living in sort of more urban areas like most of us do nowadays, we're so disconnected from that, and we don't understand the importance and how these areas actually support us and our life, even though they might be very far away. They are part of the system that supports our lives. And so, yeah, we need to reconnect, I think, with that and understand that better and listen to the indigenous wisdom. They know what they're talking about. They're living the kind of lifestyles that work with it rather than against it. So there's a lot of
Absolutely.
learning there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's kind of connected. It's about making use of people and listening to local people, getting them more involved. Many people know, of course, in Japan, we're having a huge labor crunch.
Mm,
So it's great to come across this story about more work links, agriculture, welfare partnerships developing between people who have disabilities, getting included in
mm,
workspaces. And there was a wonderful quote from Takashi Ito, who runs Sky Earth Farm. And he was saying, "Oh my gosh, they're great workers. Once we welcomed them, we made adjustments to make sure that
mm.
they were comfortable, that they were taken care of. And then it warms my heart to hear that they're eager to come to work every day, you know?"
Yeah.
And now, 2019, there were 4,100 people with disabilities who were included in agriculture. And then into 2023 is 7,100. It's not huge numbers, but
Mm,
they're estimating to grow to 12,000 by 2030. So
mm.
also it's a great part of branding, right?
Yeah.
Supporting, welcoming, including people in your community.
Yeah.
It's a win-win on so many levels, right?
Very much, very much. And it's great to see, organizations setting an example for others on how that can be done, right? I think I've spoken about it before on this series, maybe quite some time ago, but there's a wonderful small company in Kanagawa called Choco Labo. And that was started by a guy who used to work in finance sector, I think, and his son has disabilities and wanted to work but wasn't able to find a company that would offer him an opportunity and sort of accommodate his needs. And so the Ito-san, the guy who founded it, said, "Well, this is ridiculous. He's perfectly capable of contributing. Why is he not finding opportunities?" So he started his own chocolate company, something very close to my heart, and or my stomach at least, and sort of has this small organization producing really beautiful chocolate. All the decorations on the packaging are done by the staff there, the sort of disabled staff. A lot of the creation in the actual sort of uh, production itself is done by them as well. And it's such a nice example of what's possible when you're a little bit more open-minded and prepared to just be a bit more inclusive and accommodating. So there's good stuff happening out there. We need more of it, though.
Absolutely. So I've just added the link to Choco Labo. It looks amazing. They do have an online shop,
Yes.
so you are able to buy it from wherever. I don't know, maybe not internationally, but wherever you are in Japan, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yes, I may have tested some of the projects and definitely can vouch for them. Very good.
Now you've got an interesting event coming up with Finland, is it?
So
Finland Red
this
Group?
Yeah, this is so not an event. This is actually a program we're creating or have created in collaboration with Aalto University Business School in Finland, who do a lot of really great work around sort of research, but also teaching at business level on sustainability strategy and so on. And we have designed with them a program where we will prepare people here, and it's sort of cross companies, and not just people with sustainability roles. What we're looking for is to bring people from different functions together from the organization to understand why is sustainability important for their business, for their industry. Then we go to Finland for 4 days. We've got some sessions at Aalto with their expert faculty there. We've also got visits to local businesses, guest speakers from companies that are doing really great stuff on sort of sustainable innovations there. It's very much their forte, and Finland tops the rankings in innovation, in sustainability, in happiness and well-being and things like this. So it's a really great place, I think, to go and get learning and inspiration. And then when they come back, we then continue the journey with looking at, okay, so what are we taking away from that? And how does that apply into our own businesses and our own context? So the participants are not just coming away with the inspiration, but they know how to bring it into their own context to sort of turbocharge what they're doing there and make their own companies more sustainable. So the application period is open now, and we're hoping to have the first cohort go to Finland in September this year. So
Well, that's so
super exciting.
exciting.
Yeah.
It's wonderful to get these great strategies and examples from abroad and apply them and train people from here and bring it
Yeah.
back, right?
Yeah. No, really looking forward to that. Combining then the best of Japanese with the best of what Finland is doing. So I think that'll be a powerful combination.
Absolutely. Localization in
Mm,
sustainability is really key.
yeah.
My son from the Netherlands has joined. Great to see you, Felix. Onizaru, Japan. Thank you so
Oh,
much
yeah,
for
thank you.
joining. Also, great comment from Jonathan Richardson asking if Takashi Ito is from a university in the area. Reminds
Mhm.
me of him. It's the same name, and I've linked the Japan Times article about agriculture
Mm,
welfare links there. It's
wonderful.
wonderful. It's great to share all this information. And then in Japan, you often find these links, right? Between
Yes.
people that are doing good work, and everybody kind of vaguely knows about each other, but it's great to add links and then hopefully we can make connections, right?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, love it.
Now, let's talk about tourism for a
Mhm.
minute. So, 2024 was a really big year for tourism, the biggest inbound year yet.
Wow,
So 37 million inbound visitors in 2024, which beat the 2019 record.
that's a huge
But 40.2 million are expected in 2024. The World Expo starting,
2025?
sorry, this year. Yes, 2025.
Yeah.
That's this year, isn't it? Thanks,
Yep.
Tova. The World Expo Osaka is expected to have 3.5 million.
Mm.
That's between April and October. In Hiroshima and Nagasaki, we also have the 80th anniversary of the bombings this
Wow.
year. So we usually get at least 50,000 people coming per day around the anniversary time.
Mhm.
And we expect much more. We're already having a lot of inquiries from journalists and people around the world. Of course, the 80th anniversary is a really big deal, as we're having, the aging population of the hibakusha survivors, and it's more and more difficult. Maybe one of the last big years where we can hear from people directly, but luckily we're hearing more from the next generation, people who are taking on their stories and telling it in the same ways, and that's also really important for keeping the ideas and the stories in the first person, uh, stories of their survival and
Yeah.
also the loss, the huge loss. And
Mhm.
it's much more powerful than just watching a video or reading
Yeah,
reading their testimony, right? So
yeah,
hopefully these stories can be kept alive through the next generation who are training with them.
yeah. Fantastic. No, that's really important work, very much.
Yeah. Now, Connected is Get Hiroshima, which I co-founded. My partner Paul and Ayaka of Jizo Hat have been doing some really interesting work. Their logo is Beyond Tourism,
Mm.
and they have been working on the vegan vegetarian guide
Mm.
for Honshu and Hiroshima area for many years. And part of it is government supported funding for vegan seminars. And one of the places they found recently is in Fukuyama, which is our next big city in Hiroshima Prefecture. And at this new castle hotel, they're famous for their buffet restaurant, more than 80 items on display. And the owner has been so passionate about food loss
Mm.
that she has already have a good innovation how to get the ugly vegetables from the farmers and
Brilliant.
then put it
Mhm.
to use, and then doing the vegan seminar with Jizo Hat, and then learning a little bit about how to change like the stock so that it can be applied to anyone,
Mhm.
And then it's just great to see these wonderful examples and people already doing good things, and they just needed that extra layer of support
Yeah.
and education and advice, and then take it to the next level to also welcome more international visitors, right?
Brilliant. No, that's really great to hear. And it would be nice to see that sort of spreading further to other areas of Japan as well. I know it's very much needed.
Well, I know in Tokyo, you have so many wonderful options, including this eat yoga idea. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, this is we went for a walk during the winter break with my family. We went down to the Hayama coastal area, just along from Zushi and Kamakura, and we're looking for somewhere to eat. And there's a pizza restaurant I love down there that just sort of on the beach that, was unfortunately full. So we were sort of wandering around, going, okay, well there must be something, and we saw this sign saying "Eat Yoga." We thought, okay, curious. Let's go. And it was sort of tucked in a little back street in a beautiful old building, actually, traditional Japanese building. And the food was amazing and all vegan, locally sourced, and just really, really good food. So the rest of my family are not vegetarian, but they were all extremely impressed with the food and loved it. So I would highly recommend this if you're going for a walk or a visit down to that area. Go and look for it. This place is fantastic. So that was a great find.
I will put the link here. That looks amazing. Worth
Mm,
seeking out for sure.
yeah, the curries were particularly good, I have to say. They were
Ooh.
really, really nice.
Yeah, more options. And isn't it funny? Like I've heard from my husband too. A lot of places he works with on the vegan seminars, they say once they put vegan vegetarian items on the menu, it
Mm.
made it so much easier for their staff because they were having so many requests, especially from
Mm,
inbound visitors saying, "Can you change this? Can you take out this?" And then once they added the vegan
yeah,
option, it just made it streamlined, much more
sorted.
easy.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it takes, less time for them. It's easier communication as
mm,
well as offering
yeah,
very clearly more
yeah,
plant-based options, which are better for the environment, better for our communities.
yeah.
Often local sourced vegetables are highlighted more, right?
Yes, yeah, yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, very good. Now you had another cycle tour coming up. Can you tell us about that?
So this is an amazing group called the acronym is KIWL, KIWL, and it stands for Knights in White Lycra. And they're an amazing group of people who so the founders sort of started it some years ago just as a way to sort of get fit and give back to the community. And it's grown over the years. I'm not sure how many years they've been doing it now, but quite a few. And they've raised millions and millions of yen for good causes. So each year they sort of choose who are they going to be supporting. And one of their main ones this year, one of the main beneficiaries is an organization called Mirai no Mori, which is an NPO that works with children in orphanages, children's homes in Japan, who usually don't get much interaction beyond their sort of school life and then their sort of care home. And often, sort of, once they've come out of the care system, aged 18, they have very little support and sort of what to do with their lives from there on. So Mirai no Mori sort of does amazing leadership programs. They do a lot of outdoor stuff, building confidence, building skills, building sort of options for these children. And Knights in White Lycra are supporting them this year. And it's a huge charity ride. So you can see they're 480 kilometers over 4 days. So it's not for the faint-hearted, and you do need to do some training. So you can either join it as a participant and be part of that group that seems to be growing each year, as you can see there, or you can support it. There are sponsorship opportunities either for companies, but also for individuals. And this year, they're also supporting the Noto Peninsula recovery. So they'll be going around that area as well and helping the local communities and businesses there through their sponsorship too. So really great cause. And it's just I think I love the concept of sort of get fit and give back. So yeah, please go and have a look at that.
And a beautiful area
Yeah.
to go and see, and you also, of course, will see a lot of places still trying to recover
Mm.
after last year's devastation, right?
Yeah, just over a year ago, right? But the process is very much still ongoing, the recovery. So, yeah, they definitely need ongoing support.
Absolutely. Now, I am coming in February to the Japan Travel Awards event on February 12th in Tokyo at the Tokyo American Club. And it was really great to be a judge once again for the Best Sustainable Prize and to see all of the wonderful initiatives happening around Japan. The top prize for this year went to Indigo Dye Studio in Hyogo on Awaji Island, and a wonderful bilingual, bicultural group, family.
Mhm.
And she has been called a great teacher, when an artist. They're both artists, and they grow the indigo
That's
without chemicals. They make the indigo fermentation dye, and then it can go back into nature without any problems for
mm,
the environment. But also, when they're doing the workshops, because it's non-toxic, it's better for them, it's better for the guests. And having access to people with disabilities can also join, family friendly. So there were so many wonderful parts of it
mm,
as a sustainable service, and adding that extra layer of good educator and bilingual support
mm.
just kind of pushed them up to the winning award this year. So really great, congratulations for them.
That sounds
Yeah.
fantastic. I'd like to go and do that, actually. It sounds like a really sort of interesting way to learn about a very traditional aspect of Japanese culture and come out with something beautiful to take away with you as well. So what a
Yeah,
great concept.
and to have that whole idea of the circularity of it, right? Like,
Yes.
they
Yeah.
also encourage people to bring their old jeans, bring their old T-shirts,
Fantastic.
and to kind of
Mm.
refresh your old loved items, make it look new with indigo dye, and then you're
Yeah.
gonna extend the life of the materials too, right?
That's wonderful. That's a real value add. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think that might be all. Did we cover everything, Tova?
Just one thing I think is the REI Gala coming
Yes,
up.
yes, yes.
So we talked about the projects in that REI supports. So we've got the big annual gala on the 21st of March coming up. Tickets are now available. You can sign up as an individual. You can take a bunch of friends or colleagues. It's a great networking evening. It's usually about sort of 300 people there. It's big. It's a chance to get dressed up and go and have a really wonderful evening of networking. It's at the Conrad Tokyo, that's a long-time supporter of REI. Beautiful venue as well, and it'll be beautiful food. And so we'll be reporting there on the project visits and what we've learned and seen there. But it's also just, a wonderful way to enjoy the evening and give back. There'll be sort of obviously raffle. We always get great prizes there, and I think a live auction, some wonderful artwork by local artists and things like that. So if you're in Tokyo at that time, please come and join us. It's a really wonderful evening.
That sounds awesome. I've put the link in the show notes, so you should be able to find it there. I had just one more item from the Asahi News talking about food loss,
Ah.
and we touched on a little bit, but the idea of doggy bags is coming back, so you can take home your leftover food in Japan a little bit easier. Of course, I would recommend, and you would recommend, bringing your own container,
Yes.
if possible, and then it's better quality to keep
Mhm.
your leftover food, but also reducing the amount of waste. Apparently, 600,000 tons a year
Mm.
comes from restaurants and eateries around Japan in terms of food loss. Overall, 4.72 million tons a year of food is lost in the
Mhm.
agriculture and supermarkets, and people at home. All of us can think about how to reduce our food loss. We gave that example earlier about how restaurants can buy and make use of
Mm.
ugly
Yeah.
vegetables, which can't be sold at supermarkets for some reason.
Yeah.
There's also some farmers you can buy from directly. You can get the monthly subscription box that really supports them. It might include some ugly. I think those are cute. We should change the name.
Exactly. It's not
Like,
ugly veg. It's
it's
interesting
not
veg.
ugly, yeah. But the woman at the Fukuyama Hotel, she said it's harder for the staff, so she has to really encourage her staff
Mhm.
because of the shapes, it is harder to deal with, right?
Huh.
So you
Right.
can see in terms of management, there's that
Cleaning or
side of
something.
it,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But she took like 20 kilos of tomatoes, ugly tomatoes from a farmer. Now she has her own great ketchup and beautiful tomato soup that she can keep frozen and
Yeah.
use over the year, right? I mean, we have the ideas and
Yeah.
innovation. We just have to put it to use, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. No, and that's a great example, so
Fantastic. Well, that is our time, Tova. Thank you so much once again. Thanks everyone for
you're
joining. We had some great comments today. And have a great day, everyone. See you next time.